big big news coming out of NASCAR. I think it's good news. Not many people think so, but I think it's good news. Danica is retiring from NASCAR and racing in general after running the Daytona 500 and Indy 500 next year. Most likely with Chip Ganassi Racing. So I am kind of thrilled. At first, I was like, yay, we get a woman in the sport and racing and all that awesomeness. But it's dark in my room. She at first was like my woman racing icon. Like, I loved her. She was like a badass. And I just thought she was gorgeous. I still think she's gorgeous, but now, as time went on, I realized she's not that good. And she hasn't done really anything within the sport to make me think, oh, she's had a great career. People are like, oh, you've had such a great career in NASCAR. What's your definition of a great career? She's not won a single race in any of her starts, 0 top 5s, and 7 top 10s in 5 seasons? And 1 pole turning, which was her rookie season in the Cup Series for the Daytona 500. So she's been given like the greatest opportunity ever, and running in like top equipment with Stewart-Haas Racing, and giving the best equipment, and she doesn't do anything with it. She just runs around the track in like 15th or worst every single week and wrecks cars and just wastes all this company's money, which I just don't. This is like the worst marketing ploy for the sport ever. Like, you dragged it on way too long. 5-6 years too long. Stewart, you should have realized this is not what we need for the sport. If we want a female driver, find someone who can actually perform and actually win races, or proven to win races. We have yet to have one of those yet. So until that happens, keep women out racing right now, like out of the Cup level, until they prove that they can win, not just because they're a pretty face and can market themselves. And now she can go focus on her yoga and wine and whatever the hell she does on her spare time and working out. So she seems more focused on her clothing line, or wine and working out and whatever the hell she does. She doesn't have any focus for racing anymore, and so what's the point of keeping her around? I just couldn't take her press conference seriously. People say I'm like such an evil person for not having a heart because she's crying, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't feel bad for her. And those tears seemed fake to me. Don't hate me, but they seemed fake. They seemed kind of staged, and like felt like more like it's an act to make people feel sorry that she's leaving the sport and that she's such an inspiration to people, and well, she's done for us. I'm like, what has she done? What has she seriously done for the sport? She has 1 top 5 to her name, which is in the Xfinity series with Junior Motorsports, and 1 win in IndyCar in Japan. She hasn't done anything relevant in 5-6 years. The only reason she's in this sport is because, 1, she's a female, 2, marketing and sponsors and money. So this has been drug out just way too long. They're like, oh, she's done so much for the sport. She's brought so many fans to the sport. I'm like, yeah, those fans can only take you so far, but they want to see you perform. Like, I am fans of certain drivers based on who they are as people on and off the track, and partly how they perform on track. If they don't run very well, then I'm most likely not going to be a fan. I know that sounds kind of mean, but it's just how it is. Like, I'm a fan of Chase for, and people, okay, people think I'm a fan of Chase just because based on the way he looks and because he's Bill Elliott's son. No, let me tell you a story. I've been a fan of Chase since the beginning, like the end of his truck series career to Xfinity. I don't focus on looks when it comes to racing. I focus on their performance on track. And Chase has performed to such a high standard and such a high level that's why he's in the Cup Series. He's won races. He's won a championship in the Xfinity Series because he's performing well in good equipment. I don't give a crap who his father is, what his last name is. I focus on performance, not how he looks, which most people are only a fan of Danica for, is her looks. Most men are like, oh, she's super attractive and blah, blah, blah. And that's the only reason why she's in the sport. Because men attract to her and become fans of her is just based on looks and whatever. So, to say I'm not a fan of Chase because of his on track performance is bullcrap. I don't care who his father is. I don't care what his last name is. All I care about is on track performance. And if I don't see on track performance like up to standard of the team that you're on, then I can't follow that driver. I know it just sounds mean and so like I don't know, but that's just how it is for me. I need to have a driver to pull for that's gonna be doing something with their career and not just running around in 15th or worse every week in wrecking cars. Yes, Chase hasn't had the most perfect Cup career, but he's had steady consistency and great finishes. He may not have a win yet, but at least he's performing up to the standards of a Hendrick driver. He's finishing in the top 5, top 2. He's finished top 2 7 times in the Cup Series since he started. For example, last week he finished second. Last week that was the 7th time he finished second. And he led like 34 laps that week, and he's led laps in like almost every single playoff race besides New Hampshire because that's the worst track of them all. And yeah, Danica hasn't done anything. Like, she done anything with her career that's relevant except winning the pole at the Daytona 500 her first year in. Okay, back to what I was saying. Danica hasn't done anything relevant in 5-6 years of being in the sport. She has 3 other teammates of now Boyer, Kurt Busch, and Harvick. Harvick's won twice this year and is in the championship 4. And rightfully so, because he won at Sonoma and he won at Texas, where he's never won before. Kurt Busch won his first restrictor plate race in the Daytona 500. Boyer has been run consistently well all season. Hasn't won, but he's been running fairly well. And Danica is just there. And it's just, why waste money on a driver who's not doing anything? I still don't understand why people think she's had a great career when she's done nothing with it. Like, people are like, oh, without her we wouldn't have as many young girl fans. And I'm like, that's not a true statement. I was at the race last week in Phoenix, and I saw plenty of young girls not fans of Danica, or like at the race. Like, they were either wearing like Chase gear or Kyle Busch or whatever, and Yeah, I see a few with Danica gear on, but majority of them came because they either enjoy racing or they just enjoy the driver that they're supporting. So, I, I, okay, this will show my age a little bit, but I became a fan of the sport about 20 years ago. I'm 26. I know it doesn't seem that old, but to me that's a large time span. Um, I became a fan around 6, 7 years old. I became a fan because of Jeff Gordon, that Rainbow 24 car. He's still my all-time favorite driver, even when he's retired. And I just enjoyed fast cars, the smell of fuel and burning rubber. I just loved the sound of the engines and the cars going by. I didn't care. I didn't become a fan because of if there was a female in the sport. It's like, oh, there's a female in the sport, I should become a fan of the sport. No. Become a fan of the sport because you want to, not just because of, like, for instance, Danica. Don't become a fan just because of there's a female in the sport. Become a fan because you actually enjoy racing and not just one particular person. So the point I'm just trying to get by, like, I was a young girl once, but I didn't care what gender was running the race. I just enjoyed racing. If there was a female racing, great, but there wasn't at the time in the Cup Series when I started watching it. So, just letting people know, like, I'm just being realistic. I'm not trying to hate on Danica whatsoever. I'm sure she's a great person, but every time I see her, she has a scowl on her face and seems like she's the most cynical person ever. And, but I'm really not trying to insult her, but she didn't belong in the sport whatsoever. At first I thought it was a great idea, but now it was just, I look back and it's a horrible idea. I'm just glad now that she's moving on from racing and she can focus on whatever the hell she's doing with her career, or the next step is. And yeah, I'm not trying to be mean or sound like I'm a bitchy person towards her, but I'm just being realistic. She didn't have a great NASCAR career. People are saying, oh, why don't you get, like, you're saying all this mean stuff, and so why don't you get in the car and run on track like her and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I would, but I wasn't handed that opportunity. I wasn't handed sponsors and money and this and that. So if I was, I would love to run in the Cup Series, but I didn't get that opportunity. She did. I'm not, people saying, you're jealous of her. I'm like, I'm not jealous of her. If I was jealous of her, I would actually have to have a reason to be jealous of her, which I don't. I respect her as a person for who she is, like, who she is as a person, but as a driver, I can't. How she treats people, like, she's, like, went off on people, like, cursed them out, and I just don't, I can't follow that kind of driver, and it's just not for me. So, you follow her, that's great, but to me, she's just not a great voice for the sport. But props to you for being a fan, but I can't do it. So, Danica, good luck to your future, to whoever it may be. So, farewell.